Three, two, one, go.
And welcome into Press Box Live. I'm Stan the Fan Charles, flying solo tonight on the show. I'm with Press Box and PressBoxOnline.com. Usually with me at this time is Gary Stein, but Gary had a conflict today, so he is not going to join us tonight. In about 30 seconds, we're going to be talking to my guest, Pete Shinnick. He's the son of legendary Colt linebacker Don Shinnick, and more importantly, he's the new head coach at Towson men's football program, Towson University. But baseball betting is here. You bet $5 with DraftKings and you get $150 in instant bonus bets, along with other great incentives and promos when you sign up at PressBoxOnline.com/offers. Baseball futures bets, specials, season specials, and player awards bets are also live in Maryland. Go to PressBoxOnline.com/offers now for your shot at winning big. And joining us now is somebody who I want to discuss that concept of winning big with is Pete Shinnick. I've gotten to know Pete a little bit since he was hired back in, what's it been? Just about 2 months now, right, Pete?
Yeah, a little over 2 months, middle of December there. We were blessed to be able to get this job and have just been hitting the ground running ever since then.
So I wanted to ask you, at your point in life, I'm 71 for full disclosure. You're in your early mid 50s, 53,
Yep, 57.
57. So this is not like a job, like one of your stepping stone jobs. But this job is not like getting the Stanford or Notre Dame job. I imagine you had a pretty good lifestyle down in Florida, and you were wildly successful there. What attracted you to this job at this time in your life?
Yeah, great question, and was very, very fortunate, very blessed at West Florida. We had a tremendous amount of success. Things were going extremely well, and had been there 9 years and really felt like we had accomplished quite a bit. And so, I'm always one kind of looking for whatever the next challenge is, the next opportunity. I've been blessed to be offered some opportunities in the past, but none of them seem to be the right fit. And so when you start studying Towson, you start studying Towson football history, what the university has done the last 10, 15 years, the growth, the new buildings, what's happening. I felt like it was the right time for me and the right time, I think, for Towson football as well. We're a unique program. No other football program has gone to a national championship in Division III, Division II, and FCS level. And so, we've got a history of success. That success hasn't necessarily been maintained or consistent at a level that, I think it can be.
Yep.
And that was part of the challenge. I think as you do the research on Towson and you listen to other people and you talk about it, you hear it's a sleeping giant. It's an opportunity for someone to come in and, add new life to it, a new direction to it. Coach Ambrose had an amazing, career as he was a player here, assistant coach here, and then head coach. And he's the one who took him to the FCS national championship game. So showed what could be done. And I just kind of, looked at all of that where I was, and, felt like it was an opportunity, to be challenged again and to put out there the way we do things. We're a little different in our approach, how we treat players and, the way we coach people, spend a lot of time on positive energy and encouraging guys and doing things a little differently. And, felt like this would be a great fit for the way we do things and the opportunity to show that it can work.
What about the team you inherit right now? Is it in pretty good shape? A lot of times you hear when a coaching change, you go, that guy left the cupboard bare, or boy, he's really stocked with players. It's a fluke. Where do you stand on the talent you have at hand? And then we can talk a little bit about your recruiting.
Sure. I think the talent that we have is good. We just do not have a lot of it at this point in time. And so last year's senior class was filled with some guys who'd been in the program for a while, but also a handful of guys that were one and dones. They just came in and played a season. And so to build that back, it takes a little bit of time, but I think the guys that we have that played last year, I'm excited about what they're capable of doing and how they'll, flourish in the schemes that we're going to put them in. We just need to continue to build depth. So we signed 5 high school players in the second signing period. We might add a couple more as there's some guys that we're running track that we're still talking to and that kind of thing. We brought in 5 transfers at semester. And feel good about them. And we'll probably continue to add, a handful of others through this process. With the way college football is going right now, with the way the portal is, there's another opening starting in the middle of April. And I'm confident there'll be some guys in there that aren't satisfied with their current situations at another institution that could be great fits for Towson football.
I noticed that one of your transfers is your kicker from West Florida. It reminds me of a story when I moved down to Durham, North Carolina. Duke football was at a real, very low point. They had hired Steve Spurrier's assistant, and he went like about 7-40 in like 3 or 4 years. And I was friendly with a lot of people in the sports department, and I said, I want to talk to Bobby Ross. He might just be interested in coming down here. And apparently somehow Bobby Ross ended up coming and walking around the campus and talking to the AD. And he said to the AD, he goes, now, I know the guidelines here academically are pretty strict, but if I can get a kicker in here that could win me a game, does he have to have the grades that the rest of it? And the AD said, no, very strict on grades. And he said, you're kidding me. And he thought he could get a kicker in. The point of the story, I know it's a little long-winded. That kicker must be a pretty decent kicker.
Well, yeah, Caden Williams was a freshman for us at UWF. First 3 games, we were not a great kickoff team. And Caden was just hitting his stride. And we inserted him as our kickoff man. Okay. And from the 12 games or the 11 games that he was the starting kicker, we were as good of kickoff cover team as there was in the country. And probably about 75% of his kicks went out of the end zone. And the ones that did not had great height and were kicked, inside the 5. So he's a great weapon. He hit the portal after I left, and it was like, man, if you want to come, we'd love to be able to make it work for you.
Now, it's interesting. You talked about him as a kickoff man. I was thinking that he was a guy you thought felt real comfortable, could hit a 38 or 41-yard field goal. Is he a weapon on offense too?
He is. Yeah, he did not do that for us. We had we had a junior who was very, very good and was one of the best ones in the conference. And so Caden did not do that, but he practiced it and did it every day, with us. And he also has the ability to punt, which we will be exploring this spring as well.
All right, that sounds interesting. Curious, you're like the new sheriff in town, that old expression. And I know you're pretty easygoing, but I'm sure you're pretty intense behind the scenes. Have you had players that just said, this guy isn't for me and left? Or do you get a sense that everybody's saying, hey, I want to give this guy a shot. This guy sounds good.
Well, yeah, we haven't had anybody leave yet, but I'm sure that's inevitable. I'm sure at some point in time they'll go, hey, this isn't, what I'd hoped for. The good news is we did get 2 guys out of the portal who were starters for us a year ago, and now they're back on the roster. So that's exciting. So they said, hey, we want to give you a shot and see what it's like. I think for the most part, this team has been very receptive to how we do it what our approach is. And really it's me setting the directive, but it's the 10 assistant coaches who are spending the majority of the time with them day in and day out, talking about our culture, talking about our values, and talking about how we do things. So that has been extremely, smooth in, the transition for these guys of getting acclimated as to how we do things. It's a little different, but at the same time, we're getting a lot of work done, and they're starting to see the benefits of how we do things. And I like where we're at right now. We got a lot of work to do, but I like the improvement that we're making day by day.
I was looking at the assistant coaches, and you just mentioned them, and you said 10 of them. I started off reading, and Darian Doolin, who's the defensive coordinator and the D-backs coach, he was part of your staff. Alex Crutch was part of your staff. He's now special teams, outside linebacker. The point is, several of these guys were with you at one time or another. But the defensive line coach, I was just curious, Laverne
Beelan.
He's a 31-year coaching veteran. Do you know him? I mean, in other words, how did that come about? I always understand when you bring along somebody that knows you, but you must have a connection with Bellin, right?
Well, it's a great Coach Beelan. It's a great story. Our defensive line coach at West Florida was Alex Crutch, who's now our outside linebacker coach.
Gotcha.
And Alex played at Northern Illinois. And when he played at Northern Illinois, Laverne Beelan was his position coach. And so as we were looking at how the defensive staff, what the structure of it would be, Alex was going to be our defensive line coach, but we knew we needed an outside linebacker coach. And as we started talking about who could be the best fit for the staff and who could be the best person that we could bring in, Coach Beelan, was a part of that conversation. And Alex is like, hey, I'd gladly go to outside linebackers if we could hire Laverne Beelan. He was a great coach when I was there. And, he coached 5 years at Richmond and 5 years at Delaware.
He's been around, yeah.
I mean, he knows the league extremely well. He's recruited the DMV up and down it. So great get for us. Very excited to be able to add him. And as good a football coach as he is, he's a better person. So it's been a great addition to our staff.
But you had no direct connection to him.
I did not. No.
Yeah, that's great. That is a great story. Do you like the idea of having somebody with that much experience on your staff?
I do, and I think for me, in trying to build a staff, you kind of want to balance the age group. You kind of want to balance the background. You kind of want to balance the experience, and you want to balance the temperaments and the personalities as well. You don't want 10 guys that are drinking 5 Mountain Dews before practice and jumping around and going. You want to even that out a little bit, and you want to be able to have the right.
You want to have the bourbon. You want to have the bourbon drinkers.
You want to have some good balance, and so I'm really excited about the balance that we have, and how our guys approach this, and now it's getting our players to understand everybody's personality and what it looks like, and and how we approach this thing.
Tell me a little bit about a couple of the coaches that came with you and why you thought it was important that you were able to bring them along.
Yeah, well, start with Alex. He's our recruiting he was our recruiting coordinator. Now he's our special teams coordinator. Alex was with me actually all the way back to UNC Pembroke. Okay. And so he's a guy that we hired. I think his 3rd year of coaching, we hired him at UNC Pembroke. So I've just seen a guy, grow from a young coach to, someone that I can just put a lot on his plate and add a lot of responsibility to. And he handles it extremely well. Britt Myers is the other one who came with us. Britt was our special teams coordinator. We transitioned him to recruiting coordinator and coaching inside linebackers. Britt was a GA for us, and then left to go back and be a defensive coordinator at the D3 level. And then we hired him back to UWF to be our linebacker coach. So seen him grow from just a guy that, gets it, understands it. And then Darian Doolin's been our defensive coordinator, been my defensive coordinator since 2017. And Darian really relied on him a tremendous amount. At UWF, I called the plays. And so, I needed someone who understood his scheme, had answers for his scheme, and could get it done where I did not have to sit in that room for, 7 hours a day trying to figure out, hey, what are you doing? And I've got the ultimate faith and ultimate trust in him. I'm not going to call plays here. And so a little bit of a transition for me, but with those three guys that understood our culture, understood how we did things. And now, I feel like the defensive staff, okay, they've got complete understanding of how we're going to do things. Coach Beelan's joined in there, so that worked out. And then an offensive coordinator, hired Brian Shepard. I've known Brian for a long time, known his dad. His dad was actually a part of the Ravens' first coaching staff as he was with the Browns when they moved over here. So
what was his dad's first name?
Mike
Shepard. Yeah. Yep. I remember that name. Yeah.
And so, I've known Brian really since he was kind of, in college and getting started here. And I wanted to be able to throw the ball around a little bit. I think our league is a little bit of a two tight end, smash mouth kind of league, run it a little bit. Richmond had success with this same offense. Matter of fact, the Richmond offensive coordinator was Brian Shepard's wide receiver coach at VMI. Before Brian left, and then he took over VMI's offensive coordinator position, and then he went to Richmond last year, and they had great success. So I feel like that type of offense gives us an opportunity to have some immediate success moving forward. So
his offense last year averaged 295 yards passing a game.
That is correct.
Stetson. Yeah, it was like the number one offense, and he's also worked with 3 all-conference quarterbacks through his career at Northern Arizona, Indiana State, and Willamette. Yep.
Yeah. So and the guy that he started tutoring, I mean, interesting, with this transfer world, the guy that he started tutoring and worked with at VMI, he was actually the starting quarterback at Richmond last year. He transferred out and went to Richmond. So he knows how to develop a quarterback, and he knows how to get the most out of them. And I'm really excited about what we're going to do offensively. So for me, I wanted someone who, again, had the answers to their system, knew the direction that they wanted to go. I felt like taking the Towson job. It would be a great opportunity for me to step away from play calling, but at the same time, really kind of, do things that I think need to be done here, invest more in our alumni, spend more time involving our players in the community, and really taking this program, I think, where everyone would like to see it go, but do that with, a community first, a Towson first, a Baltimore first mentality.
The couple of years that Rob really had that program running at the top of its game, there were fans that came out to the game on a regular basis. But what this level of football is like. It's not easy to get fans really excited. Do you have any ideas not that you were hired as the marketing director of the team, but do you have some ideas yourself what you can do to outreach and pull in some fans?
Yeah, and really been talking about it a lot kind of since we got here. But number one, I mean, we got to get our student body to just show up. I was at men's lacrosse last night, and we were playing Maryland Loyola, so local crowd. And, the sound and the energy just coming from half of that stadium,
yep,
I mean, was extremely exciting. And my wife and I are sitting there, and I'm like, okay, we get 8,000-9,000 people in this place. It's going to be rocking. And so we want to start by getting our student body involved and getting them to come out. But then really, I think showing that, we're involved in the community, and we're a part of the community. At UWF, we did 1,600 hours of community service last year. and people saw, UWF football players around doing different stuff, whether that was, helping paint a park or cleaning up the Ronald McDonald House or whatever it was. And so we want to be involved in the community here, and we want people to know that we care about our community. And at the same time, we want them to show up and support us on Saturdays. We got 5 home games. If we play great football, we may get another one through the playoff system. So we want people there, and we want to fill that place. And I think, it starts on campus and then just keeps broadening out. But you're right. FCS football, man, it's going to be hit or miss a little bit. And, I think if we can put a great product out there, obviously winning helps everything. If we can put a great product out there, we'll continue to fill that place up. And I mean, to do that in Johnny Unitas Stadium, I'm still trying to figure out, how all that worked out, that my office is in Johnny Unitas Stadium.
You're pinching
cool
yourself
deal.
on that one. Yep. That is pretty neat. Your dad obviously played with Johnny for a long time. Did you know John well at all?
No, I did. I mean, really, I can't sit here and say I did. I know,
Right.
I got some video of a cruise that, I'm hanging out, sitting around them, that kind of thing after one of the championship games or, something like that. But I mean, I can't sit here and say I remember great conversations with Johnny Unitas. So
Now you alluded at your press conference, and it's something that I forgot. Your dad was very important assistant coach to Don Shula in Miami, wasn't he?
well, no, he actually, Dad got into coaching and really kind of competed against Shula. So
Okay.
he was never fortunate.
Who was he with?
He was with John Madden with the Raiders.
He was with the Raiders. Okay.
So he was with the Bears. He was with the Cardinals. He was with the Raiders. And then when Raymond Berry became the head coach of the New England Patriots,
He brought him
Dad
over
was on his staff his entire time.
when they went to the Super Bowl.
Correct. Yeah, first season.
Okay. I got that screwed up. There was some coach that he took from the Colts that was with him a long time, and I screwed it up.
No worries.
How important was your dad in terms of your love of football? I mean, did it start with him?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. And I think just seeing his passion for coaching and his passion for teaching was evident growing up. And then, just how he studied the game. My dad had a very unique mind. I mean, he's probably one of the more intelligent football men that I've ever been around, and just how he could watch things, see things, and then know things and start to, you'd stand with him on the sideline and he'd go, okay, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. And it's just because it had happened before and he was telling you what the traits were. And then probably what was even a little more fascinating was through college, had an opportunity to do some things with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes and Athletes in Action and those type of organization. And I started running into people who had known my dad, heard my dad speak, or a family member had been coached by him, or a family member had, been around him. And they just talked about what an impact that he had on their lives. And, the further I've gone into this, the more I've run into people who just talked about, what type of person Dad was and how he approached the game and how he approached coaching them. And so, I got into it because it's, I wanted to have a positive impact on people's lives and wanted to be able to do that for a profession. And, I've been blessed to, do this now for 30 plus years. But really what I saw out of my dad and what I've heard from others about my dad is really what's propelled me and pushed me to that direction, and still love doing it right now, and still got a tremendous passion for how we can impact and influence this Towson team for years to come.
Just a curiosity question is your boss, Stephen Eichenbrot, the new AD out at Towson. At what point did he realize, I know he realized he wanted to hire you. When did he realize that you had the Baltimore connection and that your dad played for the Colts? Did he know that all along?
Yeah, I think so. I think so, because I think the first time we talked, we had addressed that, and that had been, so I don't know in the resume, gathering and all that, had to come up somewhere that, that was part of it. But yeah, I mean, we talked about that when we had our first conversation.
Last area I want to ask you about is quarterback, because that's a key position in any football team. The Ravens are certainly struggling with what they're going to end up with at their quarterback's position this year. How is your quarterback room right now? And I noticed that one of your signees is a transfer, Sean Brown, right?
Yes. Well, I was going to say, I was hoping you were saying we had a chance at Aaron Rodgers, but so I'm not quite sure,
Yeah, but Lamar right now, he hasn't been tagged just yet.
we take him. No, we have four quarterbacks on the roster right now. Prior to adding Sean is our fifth. We felt like with him available, it was just too good of an opportunity to pass up to create great competition on this roster. And so as we're going to start practice in 2 weeks, it really is an open competition, and every rep, every opportunity is going to get analyzed. And so we've been doing a lot of background, watching all our guys from high school and seeing what they've done in practice tape, so that we've got a really good idea how to coach them up and put them in the best situation possible. I think the exciting thing is the type of offense that we're going to run is really different than the guys who were here, what they ran. They're going to have a little more opportunity in the pocket, get rid of the ball quick, a little more of the RPO game to play to, I think, some of these guys' strengths as to, what we've seen on film. So I'm looking forward to a vibrant competition. Obviously, we got to find somebody that can make it go, because that's what's going to, I think, give us a great chance in our first season.
You'd ideally like to hone in on one person to be the main man.
Most definitely. I think everybody would, unless you got two great ones and you keep finding ways to do it. But, with the way practice goes and the way everything works out, you got to give a guy as much reps and as many opportunities as you can to get great at your offense.
Hey, on December 14th, when it was announced that you were the head coach and there was a press conference, I asked you the question about the University of Maryland that, you play down the road. And I thought I'd let you share with our viewers on here that may not have heard this story, but you got a surprise phone call as soon as word got out that you were the head coach of the university at the Towson University, and it was from none other than Mike Locksley.
Yeah, it was, I had done a Zoom call with the players, and I was getting text messages from different people, because I told the team, I said, hey, text me, send me your name, send me what position you are. And my phone rang, and I looked down, and it says, it says Michael Locksley. And I'm like, okay, all right. He's the head coach at Maryland, not because I had not put together that he was a Towson grad. I was like,
right.
That's kind of strange, but I'm going to go ahead and answer this because this is pretty cool. And then, he just talked about his love for Towson. He talked about, what a great experience he had here. And, he was so welcoming. And again, I shared this at the press conference. I mean, he said, hey, if you're available, come on down to our bowl practice. And, everything, anything you want to talk about, we'll do that. And I'm like, I think we open up with you guys, that's what I'm thinking. And then he addressed it. He's like, hey, I know we play each other, but man, I want to see Towson. I want you to know that anything we have, you guys have, we want to be here to help you. So, I mean, having never met him, having never had a conversation, just, had
and
heard
he's a
of
good
his
friend
generosity and just,
and he's a good friend.
What a great, what a great gesture on his part.
Yeah. And he's a great friend of Rob Ambrose too.
Yes.
So, I mean, it was
doubt.
really, yeah. One last thing on your schedule, you've got this game. It's listed as an away game, but it's the battle for Greater Baltimore against Morgan State University, an historically Black college university. This game has been brought back the last 4 or 5 years. Is that something you've been told about and the importance of winning that game?
Well, no, and I think it's, I mean, I think it's a great opportunity for both universities because number one, you get an FCS game and you don't have to travel and it's not that far. And, you know,
Yep.
really kind of from a budgetary standpoint, I think it's huge. From another standpoint, I mean, you know, I was talking to Coach, you know, he just got there, you know, last June, and he had great success in Division II. And we had always kind of looked at each other going, okay, at some point in time, we're going to play each other here. And now, you know,
Now it's in Division I.
he's the one. He goes, he's the one who said it. He's like, yeah, I always thought I'd play you in the playoffs in D2. He says, but now we're playing in the regular season. So
Very cool.
I'm really looking forward to the game just because I think it's, you know, it's a great opportunity for this area to come together and watch some great football. And Coach has done a fantastic job wherever he's been. So I know they're going to be up for, you know, a great season this year. But, you know, I'm excited that going back and forth, playing at their place, playing at our place, that we can just create a great atmosphere for FCS football.
All right. Pete Shinnick, many thanks. You know, your predecessor was always good to us at Press Box. I consider Rob a friend, but I always have an open mind. And the business of sports is constantly changing. So I wish you nothing but the best of luck out there at Towson University.
Well, I appreciate that. Thanks for having me on, and look forward to building a great relationship and being on again and continuing to talk about Towson football.
All right. Go get them.
Thank
Go
you.
Tigers. Go Tigers.
Thank you.
It's Pete Shinnick, the new head coach at Towson University for men's football. Well, there isn't ladies football, but anyway, before I let you go, wanted to let you know Monday night, I think Ross Grimsley and I are going to have Mike Devereaux. I think that'll be our guest at 6 o'clock on Monday. And then we're going to take a little pause on the Zooms for about 7 or 8 days. I'll be in Florida at spring training at Sarasota. When we get back, Ed Hale, the owner of the Baltimore Blast, will join Gary and I on Thursday, the 16th, 2 weeks from tonight. And I'm trying to line up Jeff's Reback shortly after that for a Zoom with Gary and I. And Ross and I will continue to do Monday nights. We're always brought to you by the Costas Inn. The Costas Inn, 4100 North Point Boulevard. They've only been there for just a tad over 50 years. I've known these guys and the entire Triantafillos family since the mid 90s. They've always been loyal and back whatever programs I do. You know, they do a whole lot of other marketing too, but they always have remained loyal to me, and I'm loyal to them. I love the two boys, Nick and Pete. They're like really good friends. They did something kind of unique when the pandemic started. They realized it was going to be a vital part of their business was going to be serving food for people to carry out or curbside. And they revamped their area that they do it in, and they've been doing a big business in that realm for the last few years. If you go to CostasInn.com, that's COSTAS in.com, you can order your food, you can pay for your food online, and when you pick it up, you don't even have to get out of your car. You let them know that you're there, they'll bring it out, and they pack everything fantastically and market who it's for. You know, if you got three sets of couples that are coming over, they'll put Joe and Mary and Nancy and Fred and Linda and John. They'll be in each in their separate bags. So they do a super, super job at the Costas Inn with their curbside. And then again, it's a great place with baseball season starting in the next month. March Madness, great place to go watch sports. It's the Costas Inn. All right. That does it for tonight. Many thanks to Pete Shinnick for being on with us, and we'll see you soon. Bye.